I used to be the least impressive person in every room. Every conversation felt like a performance I was never invited to. Words would fly by, ideas would drown me. I would nod along, pretending to understand, while my brain stood completely still. No sharpness, no spark, no edge. Memory, gone. Focus, non-existent. I would start a sentence and forget what I was saying halfway through. Every book I opened became a blur. Every task felt like lifting a boulder with broken fingers. I was mentally outclassed by everyone, at work, at dinner, even at home. But something snapped. Not overnight, not magic, a pattern, a crack in the system no one talks about. 90 days later, my brain was not even the same organ. It operated on a different frequency, faster, sharper, unrecognizable. This was not motivation. This was not mindset. This was something forbidden, something buried. And it changed everything. There was a day I still remember with perfect clarity. Not because I was sharp, but because I was exposed. A job interview. Panel of 5. I had studied all week. Notes, flashcards, frameworks. I thought I was ready. First question. Walk us through your problem-solving process. My mind, blank. Not just empty. It was frozen. Words evaporated. Thoughts tangled. I opened my mouth and nothing intelligent came out. Just filler. Generic lines, stammering. One of them started writing something down. Another stopped making eye contact. I saw it happen in real time, the moment they all checked out. I had failed in the most humiliating way possible, not because I lacked effort, but because my brain refused to show up. I left the room in silence. No handshake, no follow-up. I was not even angry, just numb. I sat outside on the pavement watching others walk in, confident, crisp, focused, some younger, some older, all sharper. That is when it hit me. My mind was the bottleneck. Not my ambition, not my effort. My brain was the weakest link in every goal I had, every dream I imagined, every path I wanted to walk. I could fake it in casual settings, but not when it mattered. No test, no room, no opportunity would ever go in my favor unless something changed inside my head. And no one was coming to save my brain. Not a coach, not a course. Not some productivity tip on the internet. That single moment of silence in front of 5 strangers rewired something in me. Shame is powerful when it is silent, when it eats at you quietly. That was my rock bottom, not just emotionally, but cognitively. It was no longer about motivation. It was survival. I disappeared for 6 months. No parties, no small talk, no passive scrolling, just questions. Why did my brain shut down when I needed it most? Why could others improvise, analyze, outperform, without hesitation? I stopped reading popular books. They were designed for entertainment, not transformation. I turned to obscure neuroscience papers, behavioral research from forgotten universities, transcripts of interviews most people ignored, studies that never went viral, data buried in academic wastelands. I found a forum hosted by a retired cognitive scientist. 23 active members. No ads, no fluff, just raw theory. People obsessed with intelligence the way athletes chase muscle fibers. They spoke in problems, trained with mental weights, argued over brainwave frequencies and working memory bandwidth. That is where I stayed. Then came the maps. I tracked 57 high-performing entrepreneurs. No influencers, no loud marketers, just builders, deep thinkers who rewired industries. I noted their reading habits, their problem-solving rituals, their cognitive warm-ups. Most of them had strange routines. Silence before meetings, memory drills before bed, brain dumps at 4 a.m. None of it was normal, but none of it was random either. Next, chess prodigies. I found pattern logs of 11 international champions, spent 30 nights dissecting their thinking sequences, how they processed space, anticipated failure, predicted human error like it was weather. Across all of them, entrepreneurs, engineers, chess players, one thing kept repeating. A hidden phase, not flow, not motivation, not focus, confusion. Every single one of them trained their mind inside confusion, not by accident, by design. They introduced deliberate chaos into their routines, tasks that were just beyond reach, questions they could not yet answer, problems without clear solutions. They forced themselves to think where the brain begged to stop. It went against everything I had ever been taught. We are told to seek clarity. These people trained inside confusion. That is when I realized what I avoided was their training ground. Confusion was not a sign of stupidity. It was proof the brain was under construction. I gave it a name, the forbidden pattern, because no one talks about it. No productivity coach dares mention it. It is ugly, it is hard, it is not motivational, but it works. And once I saw it, I could not unsee it. Every genius I studied had flirted with confusion on purpose. They built protocols around it. They measured it. They honored it. Meanwhile, average minds ran from it like a virus. That was the difference. Not IQ, not school, not raw hours. The relationship with confusion. One group saw it as a threat. The other saw it as the threshold. And that is when I knew. If I could learn to enter that state on command, build endurance inside it, I could change everything. Not just intelligence, identity. Because once your brain stops flinching, so does your life. Confusion is not a flaw. It is the doorway. You were trained to run from it, conditioned to treat it like weakness, a signal that you are falling behind. But that is the trap. Every intelligent person you admire, every high performer you study, they all have one thing in common. They enter confusion on purpose. They use it like a weapon. I call it deliberate confusion. And once you understand it, you will never look at mental struggle the same way again. It is not the end of thinking. It is the beginning of rewiring. Because when your brain gets uncomfortable, it is not breaking. It is building. You are not failing. You are forming new structures, creating new links, new retrieval paths. But most people never get that far. They run, they escape, they tell themselves they are not smart enough, and that becomes their ceiling. Forever. Deliberate confusion is not random. It is not chaos. It is a precise mental environment where growth becomes inevitable. It feels wrong, because growth always does. Do you want to understand? Then forget about clarity. That comes after. Confusion is the gym, the representative, the strain. Clarity is just the afterglow. The average mind worships clarity. The high-functioning mind hunts the tension. You are not meant to feel safe inside the process. You are meant to feel stretched, tired, mentally disoriented. That is how you know the neural load is real. And if you can stay in that zone longer than others, you win. Because while they reset to comfort, you rewire under pressure. Deliberate confusion is not a mindset. It is a protocol, an edge. You step into the cognitive dark on purpose. You navigate ambiguity without panic. You teach your brain to survive where others quit. And once you stop needing everything to make sense, your intelligence will start making moves nobody sees coming. Your brain does not grow when things make sense. It grows when they do not. The anterior cingulate cortex, ACC, is the first responder. It lights up the second confusion hits. Not when you understand. Not when you feel smart. When the data does not line up. That is the moment the system activates. Dopamine spikes. Acetylcholine sharpens focus. Glutamate begins rewiring. These are not buzzwords. These are construction tools. And your brain is the site. Confusion is the blueprint unrolling. Plasticity is the crew showing up. Your brain enters a state of heightened instability. This is not a bug. This is how intelligence evolves. New neural pathways do not get built through repetition. They get forced open through friction, through tension, through pressure. Mental pain is not failure. It is feedback. It is the signal that the brain is under renovation. You want better memory? More focus? Pattern recognition? Then chase that friction. The world told you to avoid it. Education trained you to skip over it. But the top 1%, the outliers, they live inside it. Because they understand one thing. No signal, no plasticity. No resistance, no adaptation. That fog you feel when you are reading something complex, that is not a sign to stop. That is the ACC telling your system to level up. It is loading new instructions, opening new synaptic doors. And if you stay in that discomfort long enough, the entire structure of how you think begins to shift. You start recognizing patterns faster, recalling deeper, reacting sharper. This is not magic. This is molecular change. It is architecture. It is rewiring under pressure. Pain is not the problem. Comfort is. Comfort locks circuits in place. Repetition smooths over the same paths. Confusion carves new roads. And when those roads stabilize, your intelligence will look like instinct. But it is not instinct. It is earned wiring. Deep neuroplastic transformation. Confusion is not noise. It is the sound of new intelligence being built. Here is how I do it. Under 45 minutes. Every morning. Step 1. 30 minutes of cognitive weightlifting. Choose material 20% harder than what feels comfortable. No summaries, no shortcuts. Full friction thinking. Step 2. Question cascade. Write one question from what you just studied, then break it into 3 smaller questions. Then answer all of them. No looking anything up. Force your brain to wrestle with confusion. Step 3. Recap review. In 5 bullet points, summarize what confused you the most. Not what made sense, what broke you. That is where the rewiring happens. No music, no multitasking. Pure, isolated load. This is not self-help. It is self-construction. You are building a new brain under pressure, under silence, under your control. Do not skip it. Do not modify it. Just execute. This is the 12-week map that rebuilt my mind. If you follow it, you will not recognize your brain by the end of it. Week 1 to 2. Level 1. Survive. You will hate it. Mental fatigue. Emotional pushback. Nothing sticks. That is the point. You are not supposed to understand. You are supposed to tolerate confusion without running. Week 3 to 4. Level 2. Spot patterns. You stop flinching. You begin to notice themes. You start seeing the same ideas show up across disciplines. Chess strategy looks like military planning. Biology mirrors economics. The chaos begins to organize itself. Week 5 to 8, Level 3, Retention Stack. Now it gets violent. You double your input load. Everything you read, you teach back to yourself the next morning using the question cascade. Retention starts compounding. Memory gets louder. Recall gets faster. Week 9 to 12. Level 4, Synthesize. You begin pulling threads between worlds. Philosophy merges with neuroscience. History informs creativity. Your thoughts stop sounding like quotes and start sounding like blueprints. You are not learning anymore. You are engineering. That is the arc. Tolerate, detective, retain, synthesize. Every level is harder. Every level rewires more. The version of you who finishes week 12? That version can silence a room with one sentence. Do not skip levels. Do not jump ahead. Cognition is a war. Win it 1 week at a time. Most people quit on day 4, not because it does not work. Because they think it is not supposed to feel this awful. That tension in your skull, That blur when you reread the same line 5 times? That is the protocol working. That is confusion doing its job. But they run. They say, I must be doing something wrong. Number, you are doing something rare. You chose material too easy? Your brain is bored. You chose material way above your level? Your brain is drowning. Both kill growth. Both feel safe. Both keep you dumb. The goal is 20% harder than what your brain wants. Not comfortable, not impossible, just heavy enough to leave soreness. Another mistake? Consuming and forgetting. If you are not using the question cascade, you are just scrolling with a hardcover. Retention is built in reverse. Forget, revisit, rewire, recall. You hate forgetting? Good. That means your brain is paying attention. Then comes the trap of comparison. You saw someone quote Jung or solve a riddle and thought, I will never be that smart. You are watching their highlight reel. You are living your rewiring session. Let them flex. You build. Final mistake, waiting to feel ready. There is no ready. There is no permission. There is confusion. There is tension. There is the spark behind your eyes when something clicks after 12 failed attempts. That is the only reward. If you are not feeling lost, you are not learning. If it is not painful, it is not building. If you are not doubting yourself, it is not real enough yet. Stop romanticizing clarity. Respect confusion. And do not stop just because your brain screamed back. They told you confusion was weakness. They lied. School trained you to spit answers. Society rewarded speed, not depth. If you hesitated, you were labeled slow. If you questioned, you were called stupid. So you learned to pretend. Smile, nod, fake clarity. And now, you are paying the price. You cannot think, because you never learned to sit in the chaos. But here is the truth no one dares to say. Confusion is not the enemy. It is the crucible. If your mind is never lost, it is not evolving. If you are always sure, you are stagnant. Growth lives where answers die. Real intelligence comes from staring into the void and not blinking. Let others chase dopamine hits from fake productivity. Let them read summaries, skip steps, avoid discomfort. Let them rot in comfort. You walk into fire. You take the punch. You let the system break you so you can rebuild it smarter, stronger, sharper. You are not here for easy answers. You are here to burn down the old wiring and force your brain to crawl through the wreckage. They want clarity? Give them mediocrity with a smile. You want power? Learn to breathe in confusion, live in it, feed on it. Because only savages stay when their brain screams quit. Only killers train in chaos, and only the dangerous walk out the other side. Rewritten. Confusion is not failure. It is the signal, the mark of transformation. Let the weak chase comfort. Let the average stay clean. You become something they can no longer recognize. You are not thinking anymore. You are evolving. Try this for 7 days, just 1 week. No fancy tools, no hacks, no excuses. Every morning, sit with something your brain does not understand. Read it, study it, wrestle with it. Let your neurons scream, let your confidence shake. That is the signal. That is the gateway. You will want to quit by day 2. You will hate it by day 4, and then, somewhere between day 5 and day 6, everything shifts. The noise in your head slows. The fog lifts. You begin noticing more. You begin remembering more. You begin thinking sharper, deeper, faster. Not because the world changed, but because you did. You will feel it before you see it. A weight gets lifted. Your brain, once slow, scattered, cluttered, becomes surgical, focused, dangerous. So try it. 7 days. Pick a subject that breaks your brain, something that makes you feel stupid just by looking at it. That is where you start. And when your ego fights back, good. When your mind wants comfort, perfect. That is your cue to go even harder. This is not about becoming smarter. This is about becoming indestructible. Because once you train your brain to chase confusion, once you rewire your nervous system to see pain as progress, you stop flinching, you stop folding, you stop fearing anything. Most people will never do this. They will scroll, escape, make excuses. But you were not born for the herd. You were not built for softness. You are the dark horse in a world of sleepwalkers. You move different, think sharper, endure longer. So here is your challenge. No gimmicks, no prep. Pick a subject that insults your intelligence. Open it, stare at it, and refuse to look away. 7 days, 30 minutes, total mental war. Most will skip it. They always do. But you are not like most. Because the average mind avoids the fire. You walk straight into it. No applause, no permission, no audience. You sharpen your mind in silence. You break your limits in isolation. You rise without a witness. That is what makes you dangerous. That is what makes you the dark horse. Now stop scrolling. Choose your subject. And begin. Let the world keep chasing comfort. You chase power.